We are very pleased and proud to be part of this 25th year anniversary souvenir video. All of the great fans of the Pacific Northwest have helped to make possible what the Sonics have been able to accomplish over the last 25 years. As we look back on all of the accomplishments of the team in the past, it's certainly hopeful that we can look forward to building a great future with this basketball team. Our family purchased the team in 1983, and we were very mindful at that time of all of the great past accomplishments that the Sonics have achieved. We are looking forward to hopefully returning the World's Championship to Seattle with the help of all of the wonderful fans in the Pacific Northwest. During this 25th anniversary year, I hope all of the fans can look back on the many achievements of the team, as well as looking forward to the future that the Sonics will provide for this area. Again, thanks to all of our fans for their wonderful support. Thank you.
I might caution you gentlemen to regard our expansion team as just that, an expansion team. We're going to do the very, very best we can in the obtaining of ball players for the franchise. We cannot flatly come out and say or even think that we're going to have a contender for first place next year. It's a little too difficult to reach for. But in the ensuing years, we're sure that's going to happen. We ask you to bear with us during our period of trial and gluing a team together that'll be truly representative of Seattle and the NBA, and we in turn will do the same for you, the media, and for the population of Seattle.
And so the Seattle SuperSonics set out to build a team for their inaugural season. Seattle Pacific College was the site of the first Sonics rookie camp. A small crowd was on hand to watch an enthusiastic group of players showing their best moves, all under the watchful eye of Sonics head coach Al Bianchi. Seattle made its regular season NBA debut with a road loss at San Francisco. On October 20th, the Sonics made their home debut at the Seattle Coliseum against the San Diego Rockets. Walt Hazard led the Sonics in scoring with 32 points. Rod Thorne got inside the Rockets' defense for some easy buckets, and Bob Rule pulled down a team-high 11 rebounds. But San Diego came away with a 121-114 win. The Sonics picked up their very first win the following night in an overtime game at San Diego. Seattle was on a 4-game losing streak when they took on the Chicago Bulls at the Coliseum. Walt Hazard took control of the offense, and with the help of teammates Tommy Cron and Plummer Lott, Hazard poured in a game-high 34 points. Center Dory Murray grabbed a game-high 17 rebounds, and the Sonics came away with their first home court victory, 114-109 over the Bulls. Just 5 days prior to the start of the 1968 season, Seattle sent Walt Hazard to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for another veteran guard, Lenny Wilkins. For Wilkins and Seattle, it would be the beginning of a long relationship. Wilkins became the Sonics' second leading scorer behind Bob Rule in 1968, and Al Bianchi finished his second season as head coach with a 30-52 record. It would also be his final season with Seattle.
I think it's in the best interest of all. I think a change is necessary at this time, and I think someone with a new idea, a new philosophy on the coaching might get more out of the team than I have.
That someone was Lenny Wilkins. Wilkins would assume a dual role as player-coach for the Sonics. First order of business for the new coach would be to get some quality players that would have the Seattle SuperSonics ready to take on the upcoming new decade. In 1970, the Sonics found themselves playing ball with two kinds of courts when they signed Spencer Haywood out of the ABA. The Sonics fought the NBA and the ABA at the same time, spending almost as much time in court as on the court. Haywood saw limited playing time in the 1970-71 season as a result of injunctions, suits, and countersuits. His case went all the way to the Supreme Court, where it was finally settled in his and Seattle's favor. In addition to Haywood, Sonics coach Lenny Wilkins assembled a nice group of talent for the 1970-71 season. Pete Cross, Garfield Hurd, and Don Kogis joined veteran Sonics Dick Snyder, Rod Thorne, Barry Clemens, and Leapin' Lee Winfield on the Seattle roster. Kogis would also serve as an assistant coach for the team. In early 1971, Wilkins made his third NBA All-Star Game appearance as a Sonic. He scored 21 points to lead the West to a 108-107 win over the East and was named the game MVP. Seattle signed two players out of the 1971 draft, guard Fred Brown and center Jim McDaniels. Brown saw limited action in his first season coming off of the bench. It was a role at which he would later excel. McDaniels was playing in the ABA when the Sonics drafted him, and it took some more legal ball playing in the courts to make him an official Sonic. Meanwhile, Spencer Haywood continued to show Sonics fans that all the time and effort spent to obtain him was worthwhile. Haywood was the league's fourth leading scorer and the hub of the Sonics offense. But in March of 1972, in a game against Atlanta, Haywood slipped on a wet spot on the Coliseum floor, suffering a knee injury that would sideline him for the remainder of the season. At the conclusion of the season, Tom Nisulke was named as the newest Sonics head coach, and Lenny Wilkins would once again be a player only. Seattle also dipped into the ABA to sign guard John Brisker, sending them back to the courts once again. In August of 1972, the Sonics made an announcement that would rock Seattle. Lenny Wilkins had been traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I really can't see myself in Cleveland. You know, I've made my home out here, and I signed my contract thinking that I was going to be with the Seattle SuperSonics this year. And at this point, I can't see myself going to Cleveland, and I don't intend to.
The Sonics office was bombarded with calls from irate fans, and a petition was started to force the Sonics to return Wilkins from Cleveland. The 1972-73 season saw Spencer Haywood back at full strength, on his way to averaging better than 29 points a game. Fred Brown saw increased playing time in a brighter second season, and his scoring totals continued to rise. But Sonics fans couldn't wait for the night of November 12th. The Cleveland Cavaliers were in town, and so was Lenny Wilkins. A sellout turned out to welcome Wilkins back to Seattle. During the team introductions, Wilkins received a standing ovation to last a lifetime. Wilkins went on to lead Cleveland to a 113-107 win over Seattle, handing the Sonics their seventh straight loss. Spencer Haywood had been scoring in high numbers as the season went along. One night in the first week of January of 1973, Sonics fans were treated to a scoring masterpiece. Kansas City was the victim as Haywood ripped the nets for 51 points. He also pulled down a game-high 18 rebounds. While the Sonics excelled individually, the team suffered as a whole. Seattle had a dismal 19-41 record, and something had to be done. And so, Tom Nisulke was relieved of his coaching duties, and assistant coach Bucky Buckwalter would take over for the remainder of the season. But the Sonics were still in dire need of a jump start.
I'm not so sure we should go all the way this year because that would spoil you.
Seattle found the answer in the form of former Boston Celtics star Bill Russell. The man with the infectious laugh and winning background was signed to a 5-year contract. One of the things he promised to do in his first year was to get the Sonics their first playoff appearance. The Sonics entered the 1973-74 season with a lot of expectation and hope. They expected a great season with the hope it would get them into the playoffs. At the helm was the tallest coach in Sonics history. And there was a rookie guard who would soon make an impact in the league and with Sonic fans.
Looking to do a big kill, and Slick came up off the bench. Here comes Slick Watt. 118-96. Oh, this crowd is crazy. Slick Watt gets his hands on the ball, and they go nutty. Here's Watson, a change of base drive, shoots one to the base. It goes! I cannot believe that shot.
Spencer Haywood was the Sonics' leading rebounder as well as top scorer, but in a December game against the LA Lakers, center Jim Fox entered the Sonic record book when he hauled down a team record 30 rebounds.
Here is a standing ovation for Jim Fox on the new Sonic team rebound record.
Seattle hosted its first NBA All-Star game in January of 1974. Spencer Haywood scored 23 points in his home building, but Detroit's Bob Lanier captured the MVP honors. Fred Brown continued to grow and develop as a potent scoring force for the Sonics. The third-year guard had several games scoring in the high 30s, but on March 23, 1974, in a game at Golden State, Brown had one of the all-time greatest performances in Sonic history.
All right, time is in. Sonic. Snyder will inbound. A tie ball game. It comes into Abdul Rahman. Down to 6 seconds. 5. Abdul looking for Brown. Brown wheels. He's got an 18-footer. It goes! No time left. The Sonics win the ball game as Fred Brown pumps one in from the corner. 58 points for Fred Brown, and what a night this has been. Tonight's final score, Seattle 139, the Warriors 137.
Brown's 58 points remains a Sonic high in scoring to this very day. The 1974 NBA draft brought center Tom Burleson to Seattle. At 7 feet 2 inches, Burleson at the time was the tallest player ever to wear a Sonic uniform. And the Sonics got a new team trainer in August of 1974 when Frank Furtado joined the ball club. The Sonics would be in good hands in the years to come. Rivalries with other teams often draw out the best from both basketball players and fans. And Seattle saw some great action in the 1974-75 season with their neighbors to the south.
Brown double teamed out on the right side. Still on the dribble on Petrie. Brown tries to go inside. Passes to Skinner in the corner. To Brisker, fadeaway 15-footer. Good! Walton has it at the high post. Turns, faces the basket. Burleson getting some help from Brown. Brown knocks the ball loose. Dive on the floor. Jump ball. Freddie Brown going off of his man to help knock the ball loose from Walton. It'll be Walton and John Brisker, I think. Freddie Brown being helped up by John. In this fourth quarter, the Sonics have had 3 turnovers, and the Blazers have now had 18. Ready to go. Here they go. Walton tips the ball. Walton steals it. Here goes Tripp on a dribble drive. Lane. No good. Follow. Tripp. Tripp foul. And the Sonics lead by 2. Lickloff missed the shot. Fred Brown followed. Tipped it in.
Dave Cowens and his Boston Celtics were in town in February, and the game had one of the most amazing point swings in NBA history. Seattle trailed by 16 points early in the second quarter, but Tom Burleson led a charge that gave the Sonics the lead for good with over 5 minutes left in the first half. The Sonics went on to lead by as many as 34 points in the second half, representing a huge 50-point swing. Celtics coach Tom Heinsohn could not believe what he was seeing as the Sonics rolled on to a 121-95 win. Seattle needed one more win to clinch their first ever playoff spot when they met Portland in March.
Archie starts right, goes down the lane. Passes out in the corner. Haywood pumps one to the corner. 40 points in the ball game for Haywood. The Sonics lead by 6 at 40 seconds. The Blazers want timeout. The big cheer is as they're flashing up on the reader board. Playoffs. They get the ball into Sidney Ricks. He drives for the hoop, and Burleson blocks his shot, and the game is over. The Sonics win.
Spencer Haywood scored 40 points to lead the Sonics into the playoffs. After 8 years in the NBA, Seattle had its first taste of playoff mania. The Detroit Pistons were the opponent in a Western Conference miniseries, but the Sonics had the home court advantage.
Inside it goes to Burleson for a dunk, and Lanier couldn't stop him. Made a nice reverse move off of the pass by Spencer Haywood. We're at the 2-minute mark in the ball game. The Sonic fans are getting antsy. Archie Clark overhead shot 2 at the foul line. And now the Sonic fans are getting ready to explode. 83-73, 10-point lead, a minute 53 in the ball game. Long shot, Bing. Over the backboard, out of bounds. The Pistons behind. They're going to a quick outside shooting game, a low percentage shooting game. Burleson coming through to Clark, top of the key from Gray. Starts inside. Mengelt won't let him. The shooting clock down to 3. Haywood under pressure, shoots, misses. Gray gets it, lays it in. Will it count? It does. It goes and it counts. He got rid of the ball before the buzzer sounded. 85-75 Seattle, 44 seconds left in the game. Clark hooks the pass to Haywood. Haywood in under to Burleson. He has it done. And Tommy Burleson is showing Bob Lanier tonight a thing or two about playing center.
The Sonics won the first game 90-77, and they would take the Pistons 2-1 in the series. Golden State was the next opponent in the semifinals. The Warriors led the series 2-1 going into Game 4. It was a typical matchup between two hot teams with Tom Burleson and Fred Brown hitting from inside and out. The Sonics tied the series with a 111-94 win. But they would drop the next 2 games to be eliminated. Golden State would go on to be the eventual NBA champion for 1975. Midway through the 1975 preseason, the Sonics traded Spencer Haywood to the New York Knicks for $2 million and a 1979 first-round pick. After some last goodbyes, it was time to move on. Bill Russell led his Sonics into the 1976-77 season with a couple of hot rookie prospects. Dennis Johnson and Bobby Wilkerson joined veteran guards Fred Brown and Slick Watts for the upcoming season. One of the 2 rookies would play just a single season with Seattle. It was not an extraordinary season for the Sonics. They finished with a 40-42 record and would once again have to watch the playoffs at home. Bill Russell felt he had done all he could with the team, and he stepped down as coach in the 1977 offseason. His assistant of 4 years, Bob Hopkins, was named as the new Sonic head coach. At the same time, Lenny Wilkins was named director of player personnel after spending the previous 2 years as head coach at Portland. A virtual unknown by the name of Jack Sikma was Seattle's #1 pick in the 1977 draft. That Sikma would later be dubbed the Banger was only due in part to his haircut. In October, free agent guard Gus Williams signed with the Sonics after spending his first 2 years at Golden State. Seattle entered the 1977-78 season with some new players and a new coach. Tom Burleson and Bobby Wilkerson were sent to Denver for Paul Silas, Marvin Webster, and Willie Wise. John Johnson was obtained from Houston, and Wally Walker came north for the 1977 NBA champion Portland Trail Blazers. It was a great blend of size and talent. But the Sonics just couldn't seem to get on track in the opening weeks of the season. With a 5-17 record late in November, Hopkins was fired, and the former Sonic coach was back at the helm. Lenny Wilkins quickly went to work by changing the entire starting lineup, and the effect on the play of the Sonics was incredible. The offense and the defense developed rapidly, and within 5 weeks, Seattle had hit the 500 mark. 8 weeks later, the Sonics locked up a playoff spot. Seattle faced the Los Angeles Lakers in the first round. Wilkins had his players hitting on all cylinders, and the Sonics sent Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to an early vacation in just 3 games. The Sonics faced the defending champion Portland Trail Blazers in the semifinals. Marvin Webster was a monster around the boards throughout the series, and Seattle eliminated the Blazers in 6 games. The Western Conference Finals featured the Denver Nuggets as the opponent, and Seattle continued to roll with everyone contributing, and Sonic fans were now in a frenzy. The Sonics downed the Nuggets in 6 games. Next stop, the NBA Finals. The amazing Seattle SuperSonics were the talk among sports fans everywhere, from a dismal start to the World Championship Series in 1 season and the home court advantage, too. The Sonics were 1-3 against Coach Dick Motta's Bullets in the regular season, but now they had the momentum. Fred Brown topped the Sonics with 30 points, and Marvin Webster had 14 rebounds to give Seattle a 1-0 lead in the series. Landover, Maryland was the site for 2 games. Bullet fans were witnessing the first finals appearance by their team in 3 years, and their cheers were directed to the likes of Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes. The Sonics split their 2 games and returned to Seattle with a 2-1 lead in the series. The Kingdome was the site of Game 4 of the finals. An NBA record crowd of over 39,000 turned out to witness the first NBA game ever played in the still new concrete structure. The Kingdome really was like a neutral site for both teams. But listening to the fans, there was no mistaking whose home court it was. Wilkins and Mata had their players ready, and both teams put on a thriller from start to finish. The Bullets won in overtime, 120 to 116. Seattle split the next two games, and it all came down to Game 7 at the Coliseum. Both teams played one of the all-time classic games with one team answering another team's score. Washington got some big shots when down the stretch, and the Bullets captured an exhausting but well-deserved NBA championship. The Bullets and their fans could celebrate their wonderful accomplishment, and Sonic fans everywhere couldn't imagine a more exciting championship series. Wait till next year. Marvin Webster signed with New York in the offseason and was replaced by Tom Lagarde at center. But Lagarde suffered an injury that would sideline him for most of the 1978-79 season, and the center position was grabbed by Jack Sickman. Seattle compiled a team-best 52-30 record for the season, and Sonic fans turned out in record numbers to enjoy the excitement at the Sonics' new home, the Kingdome. Seattle met the Lakers once again in the first round of the playoffs. The Sonics held a 3-1 series lead going into Game 5 at their old Coliseum home.
10 seconds. The Sonics have the game one. Silence. 20-footer. No good. Pass and rebound. No time to put it up. Sonics win it. Eliminate the Lakers. Final score, Seattle 106 and Los Angeles 100.
The Phoenix Suns took the Sonics to Game 7 in a Kingdome showdown. Seattle had trailed the Suns 3-2 before winning the 6th game in Phoenix to tie the series. It was a heart-stopper right to the end.
Lead is at 2. Sickma 31 points. Shoots. He makes it. 113 to 110. Seattle leads by 3. Sickma shoots. He hits. 114 to 110. The Suns no timeout. And Dennis Johnson steals the inbound pass, throws the ball near the ceiling, and the Sonics win the Western Conference NBA Championship. The final score. Tonight's final score, the Seattle SuperSonics 114 and the Phoenix Suns 110.
Now, there was something very familiar about the Sonics' next opponent. But by now, Seattle was quite familiar with the Bullets' home court, and they split their first 2 games at Washington. Game number 4 at the Coliseum went into overtime, the sign of another typical Sonics-Bullets game. Some clutch shooting by DJ in the extra period gave Seattle a 114 to 112 win, and a 3-1 lead heading back to Washington for game number 5. Lenny Wilkins and his players could afford to be confident, while Dick Mata and the Bullets had their backs to the wall. The site was Landover, Maryland, and the date was Friday, June 1st, 1979.
And so the Bullets have run off 4 straight points on the Sonics, and the fans here are standing and yelling. DJ out high, goes to Sickma. Ball knocked away from Sickma, out of bounds at the 2-minute mark, and the Sonics will have 10 seconds to bring it in and get a shot away. This is get nervous time for the coaches and the fans. It comes into Gus Williams. Gus getting a pick, goes around it, out on top of the key. Gus shoots from 18, he hits! Gus Williams 19 points in the ball game. And now it's 90 to 85. The Sonics by 5. Down to 1:50 to play. Is it a championship game for the Sonics? Here's Larry Wright. Feeds out to Hayes. Shoots from 17. Banks it off the board. No good. Ballard rebound. Back and under. Reverse layup is good by Ballard. And the Sonic lead is back to 3. 90 to 87. And what a great game this is that he's shown nationally on television. It's been kind of a tough, sloppy game at times, mainly because of the tough defense. Ball goes into Sickma. He got fouled. Pinched in between Unseld and Bobby Dandridge. The foul is against Dandridge. And Dandridge is out of the ball game. Dandridge, for the second straight game, fouls up.
Dandridge goes down with 21 points. He'll be replaced by Phil Chenier, Jack Sikma, who was responsible for the 2 free throws in the overtime that, with a winning margin in Tuesday's game, 114-112 over the Bullets, will go to the free throw line with 1 plus the penalty shot, a minute 29 left in the game. Perspiration dripping from his chin as he'll try to make the Sonics into a 4 or 5 point leader again. The crowd yelling, the cool Sikma shoots and misses. And the deafening roar of the Washington crowd here in the background as Sikma will get the penalty shot now. The Bullets are down by only 3. Sikma shoots. He hits. And the Bullets take a timeout. As the Bullets take a timeout, the Sonics have the lead in what they hope will be their first championship game ever. The Bullets are playing without Kevin Greavy, pulled Frymouth early in the ball game. They're playing without guard Tom Henderson, who injured an arch in the 3rd quarter. Bullets bring it in. Larry Wright, top of the key jumper. Good! And the Bullets trail by 2 points. It's 91-89 as Larry Wright, the hero of the first game of the series, with 26 points on that Sunday afternoon, brings the Bullets back to a 2-point deficit and a minute 17 left. Gus Williams brings it down. His voice can't be heard above the roar of the crowd. He drives right side, puts it up on the run. It's good! Gus Williams, and now the Bullets call for another timeout. The inbounds play comes to Larry Wright. Wright with the ball. Wright from the top of the key, feeds to Unseld. He shoots from outside the 5. It's good, Wesley Unseld. And again, the Bullets trail by only 2 points, and the Bullets are going to put up backcourt pressure. A minute 2 left in the ball game. 93-91, and what a great contest this one is. Win or lose, whoever wins this one, a fantastic ball game. Equally as great as the game on Tuesday night at the Kingdome that went into overtime. This one could too. Cuts around his man inside. Dishes out to DJ from 10. DJ fires. It's good. Dennis Johnson. DJ complaining he got hit on the back of the head as the Sonics lead by 4. 40 seconds to go. Larry Wright down court with Gus Williams reaching in, and he gets called for a reaching in foul. Well, believe it or not, Gus Williams has just been whistled for his first foul of the ball game. And Larry Wright, who with no pressure on him, or maybe some pressure, had 3 to make 2 here a week ago Sunday, now has all the pressure in the world on him as the Bullets trail by 4 points, 95-91. And Larry Wright will go to the line with 1 plus the penalty shot. Apparently, as a discussion or an argument about where the clock should stand, it shows 38 seconds left on the overhead clock over the arena here. Larry Wright will go to the free throw line. Wright has 12 points tonight. His first foul shot is good. Wright, incidentally, had made 19 in a row in the playoffs before he missed that one a week ago Sunday. Now the Bullets trail by 3. Wright with 13 points in this ball game. Here's Wright's next shot. It is good. 95-93. Sonics lead is again at 2 points, and what a fateful play this one is coming up. 35 seconds left in the ball game. If the Sonics fail to score this time, the Bullets could tie it up. Gus Williams with the ball out high. Feed over to Dennis Johnson. Looks for Sikma cutting across. Unseld gives Sikma push. Jack turns, starts to drive. Double team, backs away, feeds out to DJ. Foul line jumper, DJ. Off the rim, no good. Ball popped around. JJ with the ball. He started to shoot, and they decided to run the clock. 14 seconds left, and Phil Chenier fouls Gus Williams. As the Sonics nose in on what could be their first championship game ever. It's down to 12 seconds. It's 95-93. A missed shot by the Sonics, but John Johnson got the rebound. And then Gus Williams, dribbling in and out, got fouled by Phil Chenier, and now the pressure is all on Gus Williams. He shoots. He hits. And the Sonics lead by 3. And the Sonic bench is going wild. Assistant coach Les Habegger is just about to do his famous Phoenix version of the Habegger hop. 96-93 Sonics. This ball game is not over, but it's close. Gus shoots. He hits. 97-93 on the Bullets call for a timeout. 12 seconds to a championship for the Sonics. Jake O'Donnell is telling John Johnson to give Wesley Unseld room to operate on the inbounds pass. Fires in. Ballard, long one, top of the key. No good. Rebound, John Johnson. Sonics have it. 7 seconds. 6, 5, 4. Pass to Gus Williams. 3, 2, 1. And the SuperSonics win their first ever NBA championship. The ball sails high in the air. Les Habegger does the Habegger hop. The Sonics are ecstatic. The horns are honking around the Pacific Northwest. And I'm sure here's a big round of applause from the Washington Bullet fans for both ball clubs, mainly for the Washington Bullets, but for both teams. The last two games of this series, simply outstanding ball games. The final score is the Seattle SuperSonics win their first ever NBA championship, Seattle 97 and the Washington Bullets 93.
Opening night for the Sonics' 1979-80 season was special indeed. A huge crowd was on hand to see the Sonics receive their championship rings in a special pregame ceremony. But the loudest cheers came when Seattle's championship banner was unveiled high above. The goal for the season was simple: put another championship banner alongside. The Sonics picked up where they left off and quickly piled up the wins. Tom Lagarde was back in action, and Seattle added two rookies to the roster, Vinnie Johnson and Jammin' James Bailey. The Sonics finished the regular season with a club-best 56-26 record. The Portland Trail Blazers were the Sonics' first opponent in the first round of the playoffs. Some great play from the starters and from the Sonics bench gave Seattle the three-game series. The Milwaukee Bucks proved a much more formidable foe in the semifinals. The Sonics had their banner to remind them what it was all about, but they had to get past a guy named Lanier first. Both teams traded leads in the fourth quarter, and it appeared that the Bucks had Game 1 wrapped up on a Marcus Johnson steal and slam. But Dennis Johnson took the outcome into his own hands, driving up the court and launching a 40-foot three-point shot that hit the bottom of the net. The series was tied at 3 games apiece going into the 7th game of the Coliseum. Gus Williams and Lonnie Shelton were in top form, running the fast break, hitting the open jumpers. And on this night, the Sonics were number 1. Both the Kingdome and the Coliseum were unavailable for games 3 and 4 of the Western Conference Finals. And so, the games would be held at the Hick Edmondson Pavilion at the University of Washington. The Sonics had split the first 2 games at Los Angeles and got off to a fast start in Game 3. Seattle had an 18-point lead by halftime and appeared to be on their way to an easy victory. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Magic Johnson were hot in the second half while the Sonics went stone cold, and the Lakers came away with a 104-98 win. The Lakers captured the 4th game in Seattle as well and wrapped up the series in Los Angeles. There would be no repeat for the Sonics.
Seattle entered the 1980-81 season with one of their stars out for the season, but it wasn't because of an injury. Gus Williams had a contract dispute with the Sonics and chose to sit out the season. Meanwhile, Williams' backcourt partner Dennis Johnson was traded to Phoenix for guard Paul Westphal. Sonic fans saw some great individual performances over the course of the season. Rookie center James Donaldson had his moments against the NBA's best, but the team finished with a dismal 34-48 record and no postseason action. Gus and the Sonics came to terms in the offseason, and fans were glad to see him back in a Sonics uniform. Seattle added some new faces to the team for the 81-82 season, and with the likes of Phil Smith, Dan Brains, Mark Radford, and Ray Tolbert, the Sonics rebounded to post a 52-30 season record. The Sonics got by Houston in a 3-game series and met San Antonio in the semifinals. Seattle split the first 2 games, but then lost the next 3, thanks to the hot shooting of the Spurs' George Gervin. Seattle's second home game of the 82-83 season was a rematch with San Antonio. All-star guard David Thompson was obtained from Denver in the offseason, and it quickly made an impact with the fans. George Gervin and Artis Gilmore kept the Spurs ahead in the final period, while Freddie Brown kept the Sonics within reach. As it happened so many times, the game was reduced to seconds.
They can't go to him. David Thompson has it. He puts up a long shot. Goal! At the buzzer! David Thompson at the buzzer! A three-point shot. The Sonics win!
Seattle got off to one of the best starts in NBA history in the 82-83 season. The Sonics took on Cleveland in November, and Gus Williams and David Thompson had command of the court from inside and out. Fred Brown knocked in a three-pointer from downtown, and Seattle went on to a 101-94 victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Sonics were 12-0 going into the third week of the season. In October of 1983, First Northwest Industries announced the sale of the Seattle SuperSonics to Ackerley Communications. There was concern that the Sonics might be sold to an out-of-town buyer and possibly leave Seattle, but those fears were laid to rest.
We really did buy the team to keep it in Seattle.
The Sonics were Seattle's team, and Seattle was where they would remain. In January of 1984, the Sonics traveled south to play the Dallas Mavericks at the Tacoma Dome. Mark Aguirre did the damage for the Mavs, but hot shooting from Seattle's all-star guards kept Seattle comfortably ahead. It was a special night for Coach Lenny Wilkins, who picked up his 500th career coaching victory with a 114-107 win. Sonic fans in the 84-85 season couldn't wait for the Chicago Bulls and rookie sensation Michael Jordan to visit Seattle. Jordan didn't disappoint the fans on his first Seattle visit. Basketball fans everywhere had one word for Jordan: electrifying.
This becomes a new era in supersonic basketball. I think we should alleviate the pressure of identifying with the championship teams for the simple reason that the composition of this team is much different, and we must find our own identity and our own comfort zone.
After 11 years as an assistant coach with the Washington Bullets, Bernie Bickerstaff was finally a head coach. Lenny Wilkins became the Sonics general manager, and Seattle's #1 pick, Xavier McDaniel, joined in the introductions. It was indeed the start of a new era for the Sonics. Seattle kicked off the 85-86 season with a move back to the Coliseum. The Sonics' former home would offer more intimate surroundings for the fans, and the assembled crowd dribbled basketballs from the Kingdome to the Coliseum to celebrate the move. The event also raised money for a local charity. One wet night in early January of 1986, the Sonics met the Phoenix Suns. Players from both teams had some difficulty trying to remain upright on the Coliseum floor. Upon investigation, it was found that the roof was leaking. As a result, the game was canceled in the second quarter, and Seattle had the distinction of suffering the first rainout in NBA history. The following day, attractive diapers were suspended from the ceiling to catch the water. The floor was deemed suitable for play, however, and the game was continued in the second quarter. The Suns went on to down the Sonics, however, 107-104. In early April, it was determined that the Sonics were closing in on the 10 millionth Sonic fan in their 19 years of basketball. The fans were carefully counted as they entered the doors, and finally, the Sonics had their lucky fan. Robert Coe of Issaquah was the 10 millionth fan, and he received a number of gifts for just walking through the right door at the right time. The 86-87 season featured one of the most potent scoring trios in NBA history. Guard Dale Ellis was obtained from Dallas and displayed finesse touch shooting from long range. Fourth-year player Tom Chambers continued to improve as an offensive force. And second-year Sonic Xavier McDaniel continued to delight fans with his rim-rattling slam dunks. All three would average at least 23 points a game for the season. Sonics president Bob Whitsitt began his first year with the team, and he quickly set about improving the Sonic fortunes for the season and for the future. In February, Seattle played host to its second All-Star game. Sonic guard Terrence Stansbury performed his Statue of Liberty in the slam dunk competition. Tom Chambers was a late addition to the All-Star game, but he responded with a 34-point performance that led the West to the overtime victory over the East, and Chambers was awarded the All-Star MVP for his efforts. The Sonics finished the season with a 39-43 record and met the Dallas Mavericks in the first round of the playoffs. The Mavs had finished at the top of the Midwest Division and were looked upon to go far in the postseason. The Sonics lost by a huge margin in the first game, but from the second game on, they became a different basketball team. Seattle won Game 3 at Heck Edmondson Pavilion, which was also the site of Game 4.
The Seattle SuperSonics, big underdogs entering this series, are on the verge of upsetting Dallas, and it's all over. It's all over here in Seattle. An amazing first-round upset as the Seattle SuperSonics down the Dallas Mavericks 3 games to 1. Seattle wins it 126-98.
The Sonics went on to the semifinals and took the first 2 games on Houston's home court. Seattle had a 3-2 lead entering Game 6 at the Coliseum, and the game went into overtime. The Sonics trailed late in the extra period, but a Tom Chambers dunk and a subsequent free throw gave Seattle a 1-point lead. Ralph Sampson hit 1 of 2 free throws to send the game into double overtime. A shot by Dale Ellis is blocked by Hakeem Olajuwon, but Ellis gets the ball on the lay-in, and the Sonics lead by 2. The Sonics get the ball back, and center Clement Johnson is fouled and hits 1 of 2 free throws to increase the lead to 3. The Rockets had one last chance.
Anderson for 3. It's over.
It was a Cinderella season for the Seattle SuperSonics. The 87-88 season featured 2 top 10 rookies for the Sonics, Derek McKee and Olden Polynice. Both would have their moments as the season progressed. In January, the Sonics took on the eventual world champion Detroit Pistons before a sellout crowd. Dale Ellis scored a career-high 47, and the game went down to the wire.
Lambeer wants a three-point shot. He takes it. It hit the back of the rim. Will not go. Ball game is over, and the Sonics win number 17 in a row. They're 18-1 on their home court, and what a string this has been.
Xavier McDaniel was on the receiving end of one of the classic shots of the season.
Batted away, grabbed by X. Here come the Sonics. It's 3-on-2. McMillan to X. Oh my goodness, what a play that was!
Derek McKee showed his talents in the playoffs against Denver.
Young working on the left side. Ellis. The ball goes out to McKee out on the wing. Fakes it back into Young. McKee double team goes out to X. Fakes the pass, starts in, back to McKee on the wing. McKee with a drive goes in, left-handed slam dunk McKee. Those long legs, those long arms of his. McKee on Shays, one-on-one, can't get in, goes out to X. X around the screen, drives on the run, a 10-footer, hits the side of the backboard. Loose ball, Chambers grabs it out of there, whoop, scramble for it. He comes up with it. Pass down the lane, X to the basket, banks one, will not go, but a full slam dunk. Derek McKee. Again, those long arms of his up over the top. And boy, did McKee ignite the crowd with that one.
Tom Chambers took advantage of being an unrestricted free agent in the offseason, and he signed a multi-year deal with Phoenix. The Sonics welcomed Chambers back to Seattle in December of 1988.
On a screen by Chambers, Kevin takes it into the lane. Off balance, he gave it away to McMillan. He taps it ahead to 3. There comes a 3-on-1 to McKee. Takes it over Chambers for the slam. Derek McKee with a windmill jam.
In early January of '89, Cleveland coach Lenny Wilkins had his Cavaliers in town for their only appearance of the year. Both teams traded leads down the stretch, and when Cleveland threw the ball away with seconds to play, the Sonics were left with one last chance.
All right, X on the inbounds. Gets it into Sedale. 3. Here's 3 across the top of the key. Takes a long jumper. No good. Derek McKee. Derek McKee follows with a slam dunk. Derek McKee with a slam dunk. 5 seconds on the clock, and the Sonics are in the lead at 105-103. The fans here are going nuts.
In February of '89, Dale Ellis made his second appearance in the long-distance shootout during the All-Star weekend. He was runner-up to Larry Bird the previous year, but on this day, he would claim the title. Seattle once again was matched with the Houston Rockets in the first round of the '89 playoffs. The Sonics had a 3-2 lead entering Game 6 at Houston. Seattle had a 9-point lead with just 6 minutes left in the game. But the Rockets fought back, and a three-pointer by Sleepy Floyd tied the game with 1 second to go.
Now McMillan will inbound. Who's it going to come to? Here's a lob pass and under to McKee. Back to the layup. It is good. Oh! Derek McKee with a layup on the inbounds pass by Nate McMillan.
That was incredible. McMillan looked him off. That Houston defense was up on Dale Ellis as he came out to midcourt. They were really conscious of Ellis for some reason on the perimeter. McKee goes back door, and as they have been doing all year long, McKee looking off Nevitt. Nevitt shading Nate to his left. He threw it off to the left-hand side, and whatever's McKee.
Former Boston Celtics great Casey Jones joined the Sonics as an assistant coach in the '89 offseason. Bickerstaff and Jones would share the Sonics bench for 1 year. The '89 draft found the Sonics taking a 19-year-old kid who had never played college ball. Shawn Kemp became only the 4th player in NBA history to go directly from high school to the professional level. Dale Ellis had the distinction of being the NBA's all-time leading scorer from three-point range. In April of 1990, he put on a clinic for the Los Angeles Clippers and got himself another spot in the NBA record book.
He has 30 points. Here he is up to the three-point shot to tie the NBA record. Dale Ellis with 8 three-pointers to tie the record, shared by Rick Barry, John Roach, and Michael Adams. Again, Ellis will step beyond the three-point mark. Cage with the ball, forecourt left. Outside to McKee. Ellis sets a screen, pops out high. Cage with it. Giving it to Dale. Dale beyond the three-point mark, sets up, gives to Cage. Cage to Ellis, fires the three, up for history. He got it! He knocked it down! 9 for Dale, an NBA record. Give him the ball. Crowd on their feet for Dale Ellis.
Shawn Kemp showed flashes of his growing talents as the season progressed. But there was one thing he kept doing that caught the attention of players and fans throughout the league.
Rubs off. Mark Jackson on a Kemp screen. Gets back to Kemp. Look at that jam!
After gives low to Cycling, lost her dribble. Tapped away by Long into the hands of Polynice. Long lead to 3, up to Kemp. Reverse slam jam! Shawn Kemp.
Dana Barrows grabs a rebound away from 7-foot Schreck. Gives to Johnson, over to Kemp. Oh! Oh, what a thundering reverse baby cradle right-handed jam. I think Shawn surprised himself. He's standing there pumping his fist. Oh, he wants more. Holy smokes.
The Seattle SuperSonics entered the 1990s with a new coach. Casey Jones took the job when Bernie Bickerstaff moved on to Denver. The Sonics also had the number 2 pick in the 1990 NBA draft, and they selected guard Gary Payton out of Oregon State. Seattle made 3 major trades during the course of the 1990-91 season. Eddie Johnson was obtained from Phoenix for Xavier McDaniel. Dale Ellis was sent to Milwaukee for Ricky Pierce, and Benoit Benjamin came to Seattle from the Clippers for Olden Polynice. Eddie Johnson showed his talents in February against the Los Angeles Clippers. Tom Garrick tied the game at the foul line, and the Sonics had the ball.
Tie ball game, 4 and 7, 10 seconds remaining. Payton brings it into Eddie Johnson. Eddie with 3, fires up a 3. He got it! Eddie Johnson hit it from the top of the logo. He hit it from the M in Coliseum. Folks, he turned and fired with 3 seconds on the clock. 107-104. That's the game, I would think, a 1 and 1/10 second remaining.
For those Sonic fans who were around in the 1982-83 season when David Thompson was at the ball club, you might remember at the Kingdome, a game-winning shot with no time left on the clock by David Thompson, a three-pointer from out about 45 feet. One of the all-time great three-point game-winning shots for the Sonics.
April 8th was a special night for Casey Jones. The Sonics took it to the Denver Nuggets and came away with a 6-point victory. That victory was number 500 for Casey Jones as a head coach. Casey was later presented the game ball in a special ceremony. The Sonics faced the Portland Trail Blazers in the first round of the 1991 playoffs. The Blazers were picked by many as the team to beat for the NBA championship, but Seattle had other ideas. The Sonics trailed 2 games to none after 2 tough battles in Portland. but Game 3 was in Seattle.
Davis beyond the three-point perimeter, puts his back, spins away from Payton, pull-up jumper, air ball. Actually hit the far glass. Benjamin the rebound, out to Payton, threads through traffic, gives to Johnson, pull-up baseliner, yeah! Boy, if you're a fanatic of the game of basketball, you are in heaven right now. Here's Davis outside. Inside to Robinson, backs, double team, hits the cutter, Kersey, rejected by Benjamin. The ball deflected to Payton, he'll bring it across with a right to left-handed dribble, he'll take it inside, steers it out to three, baseliner, yeah! 72-71, a minute 43 left, third quarter. Three, pull up Jay. It's blocked by Robinson. Karam's to Kersey. Kemp takes it. Swivels and jams. Sean was 7 as he stripped it away. Back come the Blazers. Drexler to Kersey. The touch pass whipped by Robinson and out of bounds. Sonics bring it back, leading by 1, 73-72. A minute 26 left in the third quarter. Here is Payton outside, over to three, drops it low. Benjamin backs, turns, spins. In he comes with a crushing two-handed jam. 3:01 to go in the game, 96-91. Blazers by 5. Outside is 3. Gives over to Big Ben. He's way outside, 20 feet. He'll take an 18-footer, banks it in. Big Ben banks it in, 26 for Benjamin. Outside on the left-hand side, it's Drexler, palms the ball like a grapefruit off the Duckworth pick. He's double-teamed into the corner. Drexler passes outside. Williams all alone. Scampers into the lane. Underhand finger all missed it. McKee with a rebound. Derek McKee triple team. McKee dribbles out of a jam. Hands to 3. 54 seconds to go. Blazers by 2. 97-95. Here's 3 now with it. Leaves it for Pierce. Sets up as if to take a 3. He won't. He'll call a timeout. Sonics call a timeout with the Blazers leading by 2. 97-95. 46 seconds remaining in the ball game. 11 on the shot clock for Sedale Threet to bring it in bounds. Threet, McKee, Benjamin, and Johnson with Pierce on the floor. McKee and Pierce are stacked on the ball side. Johnson and Benjamin off the ball. The Sonics bring it in. 7 on the shot clock. Pierce with it. Drops it low. McKee inside. Turnaround 5-footer. Good! Tie game! Tie game! And a timeout called by the Blazers. Ainge, Duckworth, Drexler, Williams, and Porter on the floor. They bring the ball in bounds. Drexler has a one-on-one on McMillan. Tosses over to Porter. Turnaround jumper. Missed it. Rebound followed. Williams has got it. Outside to Clyde the Glide. 28 seconds of the game clock. 19 on the shot clock. Drexler with a high dribble. Heads inside. Loops it up. Missed it. Duckworth with a left-handed follow off glass. Duckworth with a tremendous tip. Blazers lead by 2. 99-97. Here is Payton outside. Cross-court to Big Ben out high on the right. Feeds in the corner to McMillan. Back out on the far sideline. Threet with it. 8 seconds remaining to tie the game. Threet the 3 to win. He hit it! He hit it with 4 seconds remaining in the game. Threet has hit a three-pointer. Sonics have the lead. 100-99. But 4 seconds remain, and the Blazers will have the ball. What do you know about that? All right, Danny Ainge will bring it in bounds. Kevin Duckworth along with Davis and Drexler. 4 seconds remaining in the ball game, and the Sonics leading the Blazers 100-99. Ainge to bring it in. McMillan will get up close on Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge looking to bring it in bounds. He threw it right to Payton. Payton to Threet. Ahead to McMillan. Game over! Basket counts as McMillan banks it in on the lay-in. Ainge threw it right to Payton. The game is over. The Sonics win it 102-99. We go to game 4. What an ending to a tremendous ball game. Outstanding contest. The Sonics win it 102-99. Listen to the bedlam here at the Coliseum. They swing it near side to Johnson. Down low to McKee. Backs, spins, out to Nate. Long 20-footer, no. Rebound, McKee in the corner. No look feed. Benjamin inside. Two-handed slam. Davis backs in, double teamed out to Duckworth on top. Back to Walter Davis. Checked closely by Johnson. Davis pull-up jumper. Is cast over Eddie Johnson. He missed it. Rebound, Benoit Benjamin. Big man out to McMillan. Cross court to EJ. Pulls up inside the three-point track. Over to McKee high on the left. Stutter step dribble to the inline. Beat his man. He roared in with a two-handed slam. Derek McKee. 3 with it. Out high on the right. Outside to Benjamin. Benjamin high post. 16-footer for Ben. Yeah, string music, baby. Porter. Backs off, gives to Kersey, 20-footer. He hoists it up. He missed it. Duckworth the rebound. Ball fake, blocked from behind by Benjamin and out of bounds. Big Ben reaches in to slap that ball out of bounds. Good play. Up the floor to three. Three off the Kemp pick. Circles into the paint. Stops. Gives back to Johnson. Fakes left. Moves right. Knifes into the lane. Underhands it up and in. Johnson with 20 on a superb move to the rack. Back on the Blazers. Sideline left. Terry Porter beyond the three-point line. Drops it low to Drexler. Turns. Hands one up from 10. Missed it. Kemp directs the rebound to Payton. Into the lane. All alone. Two-handed jam. 84-82 the score. Terry Porter outside. Checked by three. Double to Drexler. Turnaround pop for Clyde. Got it. Drexler on the turnaround J. 19 for Drexler. 84-84 the score. 5:14 to go in the ball game. Now Threet will bring it over on the wing. Kemp over to Pick. Threet runs off the pick. Gives it outside to Benjamin. Beyond the three-point line. Hands to Threet. Over to McMillan. Covered by Porter. 9 on the shot clock. McMillan lobs inside. Benjamin gives back to Nate. Runs to the inline. Banks one up. Missed it. Got his rebound. Put it back up and in off glass. 86-84. Sonics by 2. 4:38 to go in the game. Nate McMillan with it. Left-hand side point. Gives over to Threet. Far side. Threet. Change of pace dribble to the inline. Stops. Feeds outside to McMillan. 8 on the shot clock for Eddie. Eddie into the lane. Draws the double team over to Threet for 3. Rattles off. Inside rebound. Poke free. Benjamin's got it. Tracks it down to the sideline. Big Ben will reload. Giving it to McKee. Derrick. Challenged by Duckworth in the corner. Spins by to the inline. Pull up 5-footer. He got it! What a play by Derrick! Holy cow! 92-85. Seattle by 7. Here is McMillan. Over to Threet now. Threet, forecourt left, covered by Kersey. Threet spins, double team, left-hand side, needs help. Outside Johnson with it. Eddie, over to Mack. 4 on the shot clock. Mack to Threet, over to EJ. He'll put it up, he'll bank it up and miss it. Rebound Williams. Outlet pass, stolen by McMillan easily. Stepped in front of Drexler. To Johnson and lays it in. Eddie Johnson on the roll to the hole. 94-85. Sonics lead by 9. A minute 26 to go in the game, and the Blazers call a timeout. Derrick McKee will bring it in bounds. McKee inbounds to Threet. Threet doubled in backcourt by Agent. Porter picks up his dribble, loops at the length of the floor to Eddie Johnson. Wisely, Eddie will hang on to the ball. He'll bring it outside, cross court to Threet. A minute 8 to go in the game. 94-85. Got to handle it well. 10 on the shot clock for Sedale. Threet outside with a 9-point lead. 5 on the shot clock. Unleashes a 3. It's good! Sonics bring it up. 13 seconds remaining. Threet across midcourt. Double team. Across the alley to Payton. Outside to Johnson. Nobody thought the Sonics could do it, but they did it. Threet pull-up jumper. Missed it. Doesn't matter. Ainge with the rebound. That's the game. That is the game. Sonics 101. Portland 89. Coming from 2 games back. What a game. We've said it before, and tonight we said it again. 101-89, Seattle defeating Portland.
A lot of players have worn Sonic uniforms over the years, and there have been a number of Sonic coaches calling the shots from the sidelines. But a common thread through it all has been the ongoing support from Sonic fans everywhere. No matter the age, no matter the era, the fans have always been the backbone of the team. And it goes without saying, Sonic fans are the super in SuperSonics.
Congratulations, Seattle SuperSonics and your fans on 25 great years. You've given us great memories with that championship team. You've got a very exciting current team. It's young with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton, Benoit Benjamin, Derrick McKee. You've got a very exciting future, and I wish the team, all of its fans, the best of luck in the 25th year.
And if you thought the first 25 years were great, well, you ain't seen nothing yet.